Welcome to RGBA, Colorful Tech News and Reviews. This is episode 82. My name is Alexandre Valliere-Lagacé, and I'm joined by my co-host, Tyler Ménard. All right, so I think you have a end of that little fairy tale story from last week.
Yeah, so last week, my battery expanded on my Apple Watch, so the screen was popping off. I brought the watch to the Apple Store. It was covered under this extended battery warranty thing for the original Apple Watch, and they told me 1 to 2 weeks, and he kind of winked and said, it's usually faster, but we still say 1 to 2 weeks. So I got the email on Wednesday. So exactly 6 days later, I got the email on Wednesday, but I missed it. I only saw it when I was on the train. So I went back on Thursday and they gave me a brand new Series 1 Apple Watch, refurbished Apple Watch. What doesn't say refurbished, but I'm guessing it's a refurbished because that's usually what they give to replacement units.
Good. So you have now a faster watch than ever.
Yeah, it's a lot faster. It's night and day faster.
Yeah, it's what people were saying, but you know, when people tested the Series 1 when it came out, it's like if you do a format of your phone or your watch, it's always faster the first couple of weeks/months. So I was wondering how much of that is the watch and how much of that is the actual format. So over the time I did flush my Apple Watch and we started over from zero, but it did give it a little bit of speed bump, but nothing impressive, which tells me that the Series 1 is really the Apple Watch that should have been when the Series 0 came out, basically.
Also a brand new battery, so that's nice. I've only done one real day of testing, if you want. I've only worked on Friday with it, from putting the watch on at 7 in the morning and taking it off around midnight, and it was at 50%.
Nice.
So that's pretty good. Although my original watch was pretty good lately. I remember we were complaining, I think last summer or last fall, about the battery was absolutely horrible. But since maybe December or something, my original Apple Watch was just fine. I'd get the 10% notice sometimes at 10 o'clock at night, which is not a problem for me.
Yeah, but that's why your battery got bigger, because it got swollen. So it's perfect. You just have more capacity.
Yeah.
That's not how it works.
I don't know. And also the first sign I was reading up on the swollen battery, the first sign of battery problems is when Force Touch doesn't work on your screen anymore. So that was the first thing. I don't know if you remember, but we can probably see in the chat, Slack chat history, I was complaining about Force Touch not working, and 2 days later, my battery was expanded and the screen was popped off. So it was the first sign, if you want.
That's impressive, because it probably is because the Force Touch sensor get compressed, and that's why it never registers. So I'm guessing the watch has some code that says if the Force Touch sensor is always on, just ignore it from now on. And that's probably why you were not able to use it. So that's pretty smart from Apple, because imagine going from screen to screen and always everything was force touching all by itself. That would be weird.
Yeah, because I use it a lot to clear all notifications.
Yeah, that's the main use, I think.
Yep.
All right, so let's start with a couple of news. The Apple employees are now running into glass walls at the new Apple Park. So this is quite interesting, because it's not the first time people walk into different kinds of glass walls or glass doors or glass conference room. But given that this whole building is all made of glass, and I think what's even worse is that there are huge doors to go outside, which are sliding doors, I think, and they are also glass. So people are actually used to walk on a certain path to go outside. And if the glass are as good as Apple probably makes them, it's super transparent. Maybe there's even less reflection because they have built amazing devices over the years with different anti-glare technologies, and they probably included that into their glass panel under Apple Park. So those doors are probably open and closed a couple of times a day. And I'm guessing that people are just looking up, seeing, okay, the door is open, and just walking right through, not right through because it's pretty thick, but right into
Yeah.
the door, the glass wall door. And so that's pretty intense, because if you look at the article we put in the show notes, which is from the San Francisco Chronicle, they have basically the whole text that is from the 911 dispatcher call. So people running into doors, and they don't seem exactly to know where that is, which is quite unnerving. Like, if you work there and you say, okay, 1 Apple Park Way, is that a street? Well, yeah, it's an address. I'm guessing that 911 should be aware of new buildings in the city. And then where should they go specifically? Transit Center 5A. Is that any specific area at Apple? Yes. It's off like Tauto Avenue? Is that right at Apple One? They're all like lost. Like, come on, it's like 911. You should know where to go. You should know exactly, like, if they say it's Apple Park, you should have like a predetermined, like not a checklist, but like a steps. And the first step would be to get, I guess, to 1 or 2 different entryways. And that's from where the security guards would accompany you to the people that's harmed. Like, that doesn't seem to be the case. So it's a bit scary.
And like, how hard do you have to slam into the glass to have to call 911?
Well, I'm guessing either. Well,
is he running or something?
Well,
like, I'm sure you've seen people like run into like patio doors and everything, and it's just, you can laugh it off. No, how hard do you have to smack the glass to call the police? Maybe they're trying to get like a lawsuit because it's the United States and they can just sue everything and for everybody. But
perhaps, but I'm guessing that those doors are probably so thick that there's actually no rebounds. Like, if you hit like a patio door or some kind of normal glass door, there's like some flex to it, so you kind of bounce back. But in this case, they are probably like an inch thick or something like that. And if you hit them, it's like if you hit a brick wall. So, and I'm guessing that people are probably like me. Like, when you walk, sometimes you just are a fast walker. And I know lots of nerds are. So maybe they're just nerds fast walking their way around the campus, because it's not small. So if you want to go from point A to point B, you might need to walk like 5 minutes. So you don't take your time. You just walk fast as you normally would if you were not in a hurry, but like seriously walking basically. And yeah, well, if you hit that door straight on, you can be knocked out probably easily. From reading those, they got like cuts on their foreheads or stuff like that. So I don't know how severe it is that they had to call 911. I don't know if maybe they're trying to prove a point, which would also make sense. But yeah, we are not better than cats and birds when it comes to glass doors.
Yeah, I can't imagine working in an office building that big. Like, just give me a second. I'll come over to your desk, and it takes like 15 minutes to walk around. Must be weird.
Yeah. Already sometimes you work in buildings, there's like 2 floors. So you have to go from one floor to the other one. Oftentimes they're close, so you can take the stairs, so it's not too long. But in this case, it's like, this is like a whole, like they said, a whole park. Like, it's super huge. So from one end to the other end, then go in, I don't know how many floors there are, maybe like 3 or 4 or 5. It can be quite an intensive walk to get around.
Do you think they have little shuttles like in the airport, like the little cars, the electric cars that you can hop on the back?
Perhaps.
Watch the tram car, please. Watch the tram car. And then the guy's coming through.
Especially if you go from like one end to the other, like if you go around, because it's a circle, it's going to be an intense walk. But yeah, if you cross across the middle ground, which is the middle park, and you can just go straight in a little shuttle, that would be much better. Anyways, so that's pretty crazy. Hopefully they're going to find a way to fix it that is not like putting Post-its everywhere, because I heard also in the past that they already had problems with the conference room where they are trying to work, so they try to draw like on the walls because they're glass with those little felt pens, but like the cleanup staff keeps on erasing everything, and like they try to put like paper, and now the cleanup staff removes all the paper, so they seem to be pretty strict about keeping that office pristine, but it's not really suitable for working condition because like being a software developer, you know that you need to sometime write some logics, how the system interacts, and you come back the next day, you continue to work with your colleagues, but now everything's gone. So it's a real pain in the ass. So I think that they said that they were trying to use the doors, which I think are solid wood or something, to hide like big tablets of paper to work. But even then, not easy to work on a small surface like that. So not the end of all the woes of employees, I think. So next month, we should have a brand new device from Apple, the aptly called AirPower wireless charging mat should be available. So this is a rumor from Mac Autocara, which basically says that from reliable sources, that it should come sometime in March. Well, next month. It's already March, but sometimes in the following weeks, basically. So yeah, I'm not sure if I'm gonna get one.
You can't.
I already have my.
You have no use for this.
I know, but like the watch could be nice.
You can't.
But I like it.
You need a Series 3.
Oh, you're right. Trees. So yeah, okay, that settles it.
That settles it. Yeah, you can't use it.
Oh well, yeah, it just saved me $200. Nice.
I can't use it either.
Yeah. Oh, geez, I forgot about that. So yeah, only if I get AirPods I could use it. But then
it's kind of stupid. Yeah.
No. Yeah, and also I love my little duck from the guys at Studio Neat, and with the Apple Watch on the side, I can use it as an alarm clock, which you cannot if it's flat like that. So I don't understand why they chose that design of a flat surface. It kind of defeats the purpose of the Apple Watch charging method to be on the side. So anyways, I'm pretty sure Studio Neat will come up with a brand new solution that is as good, but better suited with a better design in the coming months. So we'll see.
I tried the inductive charging because I refused to call it wireless charging at the Apple Store, and it's kind of finicky because your phone has to be exactly in the center of the puck, because or else it just won't charge. I don't know if who's at, like, what's the problem? Is it the phone that has a too small target, or the actual puck is too small of a target? I've only tried one model. I think it's the Mophie. It was gray. I'm pretty sure it was Mophie. So I'm guessing if you put this on your nightstand, like, you can't move, you can't touch it. It better not move, because waking up to having your phone half charged might be not the best experience in the world.
Yeah, and also if you had the Belkin one, I think if your phone vibrates, it moves off the little target. So even if you take good care of placing it perfectly center, it might move by itself during the night if you don't have the do not disturb turned on. So yeah, I think that there's a problem with the pad itself, because sometimes they can usually put like a single coil or two coils, which would help. But it seems that like the best mats have 3 coils. So I'm guessing that makes kind of a surface that is wider, like a circumference that is bigger. So if your phone is anywhere around this, like let's say 1 inch by 1 inch surface, if you move it around up to half an inch on each side, you should be okay. So that would be the ideal thing. I don't know what Apple has in plan with the little mat there. So hopefully they maybe have like 7 coils or something, so that like the whole surface is covered, because that would be the sweet solution. But it's not there yet, so we cannot say. And if you have to pay $200 to get like a charging mat that is good, that kind of is a bit expensive. It's almost the price of a pair of. Well, it's more. This is the price of a pair of AirPods, so not too sure that's going to be a good popular product.
And does it mean the Series 3 is Qi charging capable, or the whole mat has to be Apple Watch compatible?
I don't know.
And also on the Apple Watch, if you use any band that's like a sport loop or Milanese loop, you can't use this thing, or you're gonna have to take off your band, which is kind of not a good solution either. So
yeah, because I'm guessing the metal kind of does something with the inductive charging or whatever. But yeah, no, I don't know if it has to be special. I'm hoping that it's only a standard with the Qi charging, because that's what Apple is trying to leverage. In this specific product, they might have their own solution. You remember that they said they were adopting the standard, and then they were contributing to make it better. So perhaps their engineers looked at the Qi charging, said, okay, it's a good like 1.0 product. Let's push this further. And they came up with technologies that they might already have proposed to the standard, or maybe they want to wait so that their product is out and it works with their devices, and that's all fine and dandy, and then propose it to the standard. So we might see something from this product that is not yet in the standard, but it might come eventually. So yeah, sure. I hope that it's all like in this same spectrum of compatibility for the sake of other devices.
So I ordered a Qi charger like for my phone. So I'm supposed to get it next week, I think Wednesday or something. So I'll have feedback on the show next week. I ordered a how do you call it? Like a stand. I don't want to
RGBA.
Yeah, but I don't want a mat because I want it on the side of my nightstand, and I like having it upright, not sitting. I use the Apple default lightning charger, the white plastic one that doesn't sell anymore there. And I'm just tired of in the dark trying to find the stupid lightning port and then scratching the whole bottom of my phone. So
yeah, been there, done that. Yeah, is there a little like a magnetic pull when you put it on the mat?
Not at all.
No, there's not.
Nothing.
I don't like that, because especially if you prop it vertically. I was hoping that it would be like the Apple Watch charger, where you would just like aim slightly off and it would like guide itself to the proper position. That would be sweet.
No, there's nothing like that.
Maybe future stands, maybe something that other companies could work on. I don't know.
Like a kind of MagSafe-ish.
Yeah, kind of, yeah. Just like the inductive charger for the watch, basically. Like if you're not dead center, it's not a problem. It's going to realign itself. So then we had a post from Mark Orment, which is now blogging more and more. So that's great. WatchKit is, according to him, a sweet solution that will only ever give us baby apps. So he goes down around all the limitations. And one of the most awful thing I would say is that Apple doesn't seem to be dogfooding this WatchKit framework for their own apps. They seem to have their own set of rules and API endpoints so that they don't need to follow the exact same thing the developer use. So as we developers know, if you don't use whatever you create, then you might not face the same challenges as your users. So it's always a good thing to dogfood your own creation, so that if you have problems, chances are people have the same problem as you, and you can work together to do something better eventually.
Because I think the only basically usable Apple Watch app is Carrot Weather, right?
Yeah. It's not even that reliable for me. If I really want it to work well, I need to click it, like the complication, because otherwise it's rarely up to date. But I'm thinking that's probably a problem with my watch, or just being a Series 0. So
that's exactly why I was asking you, because I have the same exact complaint. I have it also, but every time I look at it, it's out of date, or it shows the sun, and it's actually like 9 o'clock at night, and the sun is not out. So I just tried it right now. It said 0 on the complication. When I hit it, the condition changed and the weather changed. It's now 1 outside. So you try it right now.
So even.
Yeah, so it's like it doesn't background update. So I think I'd be switching back to the original weather complication. Like as you were saying, they don't use, Apple doesn't use like the exact WatchKit thing, so they don't have the same limitations as developers. So I think they can update it more frequently.
So real-time follow-up for me, I have -3 degrees and cloudy. If I hit it, it takes some time on a Series 0. It gets 1 degrees and 8% of showers. If I go back to my home screen, still -3. So yeah, okay. It was up to date. That's rare. Unless it's the same weather like the last time it was up to date, like yesterday, and it still is the same weather. So, but yeah, most of the time, like you say, it's either a sun or clouds, or even sometimes it snows outside. So I look at my watch and it says sunny. I hit it, and then now it changes for little snowflakes, and temperature changes always. So yeah, there must be something that needs to be done for that. I don't understand why whatever developers have is not the same or as reliable as what Apple has. And like Marco says, it's buggy. It doesn't achieve its purpose, and it puts limitations on developers that are basically getting frustrated with the Apple WatchKit, and they basically don't really want to use it.
Right, and he's He's the developer of an app called Overcast to listen to podcasts. So that's why he's complaining about this, because he wants to play podcasts on the watch for people that want to go running without the phone and all that.
Yeah, but that's another set of limitations that are not even just what you can do because it's documented that you can. It's what he's asking is even more. Is like he wants access to APIs, or he wants to new APIs that can take the feature set further. But even for what we have now that is documented as, yes, developers, please use these APIs for your apps, it's not even working properly. So that's step one. Step two, yes, what he wants is new APIs, new features that would allow him to do Overcast for the watch and have everything sync up. And even if you need to go through the iPhone app to do some conversion or to run like smart speed or whatever, he doesn't care, but he needs something to be done so that the gap can be bridged and the synchronization can be done properly.
The gap can be bridged. That sounds so marketing. The company I used to work with, I was always talking about bridge the gap, bridge the e-commerce gap.
Oh yeah, of course.
It was a big marketing thing.
Yeah, because people tend to have their whatever products or services somewhere, and they kind of have a website that does nothing, and you need to bridge the gap and offer the same thing on both sides.
Yeah, we had t-shirts and hoodies and a bunch of stuff made.
Nice. So following last week, we discussed a macOS and an iOS redesign made by designers and artists. And this week we have a new concept.
Yeah, so basically it's a concept of what a redesign of the health app could be. So it brings a whole bunch of new concepts. It brings like the, I don't know, card UI you can call from the App Store. What's the name of this UI concept? Yeah, like card UI. Yeah, and a bunch of like just more information, more readable, usable information that could be displayed per day, like challenges, activity sharing to share with your friends, not just the basic like little activity sharing we have right now on the Watch app or Activities app, I think. Yeah, Activities app. Like statistics, like just more stuff. Because right now, I don't know, when was the last time you opened the health app? It just, the information in there makes no sense for me. Not makes no sense, but it's not really readable and not usable. And it's just a huge like missing feature that could really enhance the whole watch and fitness and all that health experience that Apple is trying and should continue trying to push.
Yeah, I agree that the app itself right now is more of a big data dumping ground. Like you can dump a ton of different data points, and they're kind of like structured in a hierarchy way that is okay, but there's no insight. And I think that's what this redesign tries to do. It tries to take all that huge data set and present it to you in a way that makes sense for you. And that's perfect like scenarios for machine learning, because not everyone does the same thing. So therefore, for somebody, let's say, that does lots of training, like his heart rate can go up and down, and there can be like big difference in between its highest and lowest heart rate. And that could be put to good use. If somebody else, let's say, for example, uses an Apple Watch, but works from home, does no sport, like his heart rate won't change. So that's not relevant for them. But therefore, maybe his stand-up goal is what he's trying to do every day. So you can take that information and realize that, oh, okay, this guy really has like a streak of like 90 plus days of stand-up goals. So you can do something with that data. So, and you can maybe prime him to do even more. So that's a perfect area for machine learning. And the way that this redesign is also presenting that is just for simple stuff. Like you said, it's more condensed. The information you have on a single card is a lot more condensed than just having like a table view list of basic endpoints. You have everything now concentrated into a nice little design with smaller font, yes, but more details. So more like at a glimpse, you can see everything in one single shot. So that's better.
And just goals to work towards also, not just, activity challenge for the month. Burn however many calories, which means absolutely nothing. And I always check like on the last week of the month to see what's my progress, but I have no idea during the week or during the month what's happening. Where am I at with this new like little challenge? I just have more of those challenges, and more of those challenges be weekly based instead of monthly based, and more of like trends and like you were saying, like streaks, like keep it up, you're on this huge calorie burning streak or something like that.
Yeah. Talking about trying to push you to do more, it was fun because yesterday I took a little walk outside with the kids because it was snowing and it was nice weather. And when I was just back from my walk, like about half an hour walk, I stepped on my...
Because it was a snowing and nice outside. That doesn't match usually.
Yeah. Well, we actually like when there's like big snowflakes and it's not cold. And
I know, but
and even the snow
Canadian
was perfect for snowballs. Yeah, I know. And the snow was perfect for snowballs. So we kept on throwing snowballs at each other. So that was great. But basically, I was just done with my walk. So I was back home, stepping on my driveway. And then I got a notification on my watch that, hey, you know what? To be able to do your goal, have a 3-minute brisk walk. Like, fuck you, I just came back from a walk. Like, can't you see? Like, I don't understand why the Apple Watch is not smarter than that and can realize that you just did something and tells me to go out to do a walk. Like, can't you just like change the wording and say, hey, just go around the block once more and you'll get your goal or something like that, you know? Because, I've just been walking for like half an hour. Like, that context is missing. And it's not the first time that it does that. Like, sometimes I would just go for like a walk, or I would just go to the dépanneur or something. And I would be walking like to get there, and when I'm back, that's when the watch tells me to go outside and take a walk. But I just did like change the wording. There's something to be done for that, because it's one more thing that's like getting on my nerves on the watch. So
what would really help would be just to have automatic exercise like monitoring, that you don't have to explicitly start like, oh, I'm gonna go for a walk, let's just wait 2 minutes for my exercise app to launch, and so I can start a outdoor walk with an open goal there, or set, oh, I want to walk for a certain calorie. It's just like when I walk outside, it knows and it tracks it accordingly. Because I don't know if you've ever tried, like I always have the same walking commute, if you want, from the train station to work, and the difference between starting a workout and doing it as a workout and just walking normally is huge. It's like twice the calories if I start an explicit workout. So if it could be just, it knows every day at 4:10, I leave the office to walk to the train. Like, that in that range, if I start walking, just start the exercise workout by itself, and it would be a lot better for tracking and a lot more precise also.
It's getting better for the machine learning to tell me like, okay, you have a 8-minute drive to IGA, like the grocery stores, because every week on the same day, I go to the fruits and veggies store first, and then I go to IGA. So it knows when I get into my car and I start my car, it says, oh, 9-minute drive to IGA. So it learns that this is my routine, and it tells me like if there's traffic or whatever. So that makes sense. But the exact same thing, like you said, should be applied to the watch. But like you said, it's probably a matter of battery life. And if that would be the case, either you would get, let's say you take a 20 minutes walk every day. The first couple of times it would detect that you have a walk, but only if, let's say, it takes a heartbeat check every 5 minutes. So you would lose probably the first 5 minutes and the last 5 minutes of your walk, and end up with a 10-minute walk instead of 20. So you would be pissed that it did find a workout, but it didn't track the whole thing. So maybe that's why they haven't implemented it. So there's a logic problem there. But it probably all comes down, like you said, to the tracking, the sensor tracking, which is too hard on the battery. So until they can get that sensor to be a lot more energy friendly, you won't see that for sure. But I'm thinking that they might have even tried it. Like they probably have a beta version of WatchOS that does exactly that, but your battery lasts half a day, which is a problem. So until they can get a bigger or a more optimized sensor / CPU in there, we won't see it yet. But I agree with you, it would make total sense. How many times have I started something and I'm like, oh, I forgot to start my workout. Then while running or while biking, I try to hit my watch and almost crash, and it's not the best.
I also always forget to stop it. So I think I should use Activity++, and you can trim the workout at the end. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
I know you can do it on the Sleep++ app. I'm not sure of the Activity++ app.
Yeah, that should be also implemented. So there's a bunch of features for WatchOS 5 that can be envisioned. So Apple did a new patent. They filed a patent the very next day that the iPhone 7 and 7 Plus was announced. So that was filed on September 8th, 2016. It's a patent to make keyboards like debris resistant and perhaps also water and coke resistant. So the patent basically explained that there's a system where either there's two techniques. Either the key mechanism, the key switch mechanism is hidden below a membrane. So whatever dust or crap gets in the way, it never really gets under the key. So every key is like a membrane protected mechanism, basically. And the other way that it would work is that whenever you hit the key, there would be a little whoosh of hair that would push out the particles from under it. So be it liquids or other like crumbs or whatever. So that would be a second way that this would fix like the problem itself. So if you have a problem with a key, after pressing it a couple of times, normally the little crumb would be unjammed and it would be expelled from under the key, from the sides of the key, because it never really gets under the key. But the designs that they show is always a little bit weird and not really necessarily what they are really testing it. So it's just like to grasp the idea, but not necessarily detail the exact implementations. So yeah, I think it all comes down from the watch with the water ejection mechanism, where the speaker vibrates at a certain frequency to expel the water. This would do the same thing, but your fingers would be the actuator of that little mechanism. So this is interesting. I'm all in for like Coke and water and like crumb protection. So everybody would benefit from that, especially with the latest MacBook Pros. So, and by the way, do you have any problem with your keys yet?
No, I've had them, but you just hit it harder and wiggle them around and it fixed that. They're fixed. How about you?
Okay. No, still nothing. I'm pretty surprised because.
Do you use it though?
Yeah. Not every day, but many days I have many meetings, and I end up like just staying like either in the conference room or going like on a couch and something and work from there. So I do use my MacBook Pro keyboards almost every day, and whenever I use it, it's almost at least, I would say, okay, let me rephrase that. I probably use my MacBook Pro keyboard 3 days out of 5 and at least for 2 hours at a time. So it's a very minimum of 6 hours per week, probably more. And up to today, I haven't like eaten with this computer next to me, so I don't like try to tempt the devil, like they say. But for now, it's still pristine. I had one letter key. I don't remember which one. I think it was like the I or the O that was kind of like unbalanced for a while. So there was probably something below there. I couldn't feel it perfectly, but it was kind of like going down crooked. But eventually it got fixed itself. The other thing that I also wonder is that I use my backpack to transport my computer, and backpacks tend to make little balls of like fabric or whatever, dust fabric. And that's usually what I find on my keyboard screen when I open it. And so eventually something like that could go into the keyboard and jam it. So, but for now, after how many months is it? Maybe five or 6 months, no problem. So we're good. On the sides of ads and such, Apple released a new HomePod video. This one is pretty impressive. It was made by Spike Jonze and another artist, which I forget the name. So it's basically, it reminds me of the classic iPod ads because it really is music centric, of course. And it's a mix of the new ads like the AirPods, where like two persons start to dance and like the whole world disappears and they just focus on the music and the dance. But at the same time...
And they dance on walls and all that.
Yeah, exactly. But in this case, it's the whole dance movement that are basically warping the world around that girl. And it's very well done. Like every time she does like an arm move or leg move, like the wall basically stretch and you can see the colors doing lines, kind of like it was with the original iPod ads. So it's very impressive.
It's a 4-minute long ad, so it's not really going to play on TV. It was made for YouTube. It's already got 6.3 million views, so I guess it worked.
Yeah, or it's going to they might make like a short version. Sometimes like they do
teasers
that.
Or, yeah.
Yeah, like a 30-second clip of like maybe just the chorus or something like that, and just a couple of scenes. So that could also work.
I don't really get it, but I guess I'm not artistic enough or something. I get like it's really cool and everything, but okay. Like, why is everybody so happy? Is it just because it's from Spike Jonze, maybe, and everybody likes
Yeah.
Spike Jonze? If it would have been from
Yeah.
Tyler Menard, would everybody be so excited and be like, "Oh, this is the best ad ever"? I just get the feeling that's a bit of maybe too much because of the director and not actually the ad.
Yeah, there's definitely this aura of fame surrounding Spike Jonze for all his past work, and now that he's collaborating with Apple for an ad, it's something to look at just because. But then whatever he did is also great, so I don't think this ad should be ignored because it's not. It wouldn't have been made by Spike Jonze. It's visually interesting. It's visually very impressive, and it's for a different product. So it's a first ad. But now the bar is set very high for every following HomePod ads. So I'm wondering if that's going to be the start of a collaboration with Apple of many different high prestige directors. So that could be something interesting. Let's say the next ad is made by Steven Spielberg or something like that. So it could be quite impressive if like you have this escalation of directors and like high budget ad. That would be great because it's the kind of product that by itself is hard to advertise because yes, you can do like they did with the iPhone and explain every feature like by doing little scenarios and everything, but that's already covered by the YouTube channel of Apple's. But that's like an ad, so it has to be music centric, very strong. So how do you do that? You do partnerships with well-known directors. So I hope this is a trend and there's going to be more in the coming months, so that would be pretty impressive.
He's a music video director, right? Because I've never heard of this guy before this week.
So basically, yeah, Spike Jonze is more of a director of movies and other documentary. Famous thing he did is some are stupid, like Jackass the movie. Not necessarily a let's say a Oscar-nominated movie, but interesting nonetheless. More recently, he did the Her movie, the one about the guy falling in love with an AI. So that was an amazing movie. I really loved it. So that's perfect. The rest, I know he's known. Like there's a bunch of other movies that he did.
A lot
that
of
are kind
music
of,
video clips also.
Yeah. But other than Jackass and Her, I haven't seen anything that, being John Malkovich, which is a big success, acclaimed success also. So yeah, that's basically the only one I know. So television, he did a couple of shows also. Nothing I've seen really. And music videos, I think, seems to be his forte because he did, maybe like 50 of those all the way back to 1992. So yeah, it's I think he did the Buddy Holly video clip from Weezer. So that's a big one. And he also did like other one with Daft Punk, and he did the Sean Lennon one, Fatboy Slim, even Tenacious D, so Beck, Bjork. Okay, so he's pretty known in the music video world. So
all these songs that you just listed, none of them I know. So maybe that's why I don't know the guy.
Yeah, probably. All right, so moving on to Rumor Corner. We did one earlier, but let's say that we didn't do it. We have something that is announced to be maybe coming soon, a cheaper version of the HomePod, which would be interesting. I don't know if they would put the same smarts as what you have in the HomePod, or it would be more of a like the, what do you call those, the Beats Pill and stuff like that. So smaller speakers, less features probably. So that could make sense. Which would be like in the $150 to $200 range. So that makes sense. The HomePod by itself, with all the smarts they put in, is not for everyone. There's a bunch of people who would probably like something like that, but smaller, maybe with less power, maybe more of a desktop, kind of like the Google Home Mini and the Amazon Echo Dot, like something very small and compact, probably with a speaker, because I don't see Apple really putting something on the market that requires you to buy a third-party accessory to make it work. but something smaller. But what I'm most interested in too is the MacBook Air story, because we all know that the MacBook Air is this amazing product, still up to this day being sold as a non-retina screen with, okay, they did change the internals recently, but it's not like they changed it massively. It's just the spec bumps, and they kind of went over to the last processor of that generation so that they really try to crank up the last drops of juice from that machine. But still, they should really look at this. And we have rumors from Minchiquo that there will be a more affordable MacBook Air coming in the second quarter of this year. So, and also they're trying to keep the price at $999. So will that be a MacBook Air with Retina display? Seriously, in 2018, I really hope so. I don't think Apple should put any computer out that is not Retina at this point. So 13-inch Retina, but now it's going to eat the lunch of the MacBook Pro 13-inch Escape. So what's going to be the differentiation factor? Will it be more like the MacBook? So it's only a single port, but like 13 inches instead of 12, maybe not as compact. That's where the water gets muddy, because we have two compact product, one that is next generation with bigger price tag, and one that is also almost as compact but is old. So what do? Do you relaunch something new but kind of get into the turf of the other one, or do you just make it a single product with two tier, one affordable and one more expensive? So I would think that the MacBook would be now primed for that. It's still expensive at $1299, but there could be a way for Apple this year to make it down to $999 with, I guess, a more affordable configuration, maybe less power if there's a new architecture change coming up. But yeah, there's definitely something to be said about a $999 computer that still makes sense, and still to this day, even though it's not powerful, is still a great seller on the store and in the store.
Yeah, I'd like to see another MacBook Air replacement, because I think it's the one I suggest if people ask me, like, just get a MacBook Air and don't look at Retinas in the store, and just order a MacBook Air. But I hate rumors, and I'll like judge it when I see it, or whatever you want to call it. I'll believe it when I see it.
Yeah, but now it's hard to recommend the MacBook Air because it's basically been not updated for such a long time that you pay what in Canadian, like $1,200, $1,300 for that, and you get something that is very slow compared to other things. Of course, if it's like for school or something like that, it's a first computer, might be fine, really. But like at this point, it's kind of like if you're asking people to buy like a computer from a couple years ago at a full price, if it was at least priced down like $599 or $699, I would be totally okay with suggesting people to buy that, because what you would get for such a low price would be amazing. But nowadays, at the full price, it's hard to suggest this one. So, but yeah, I really hope for a better new device soon. There's also rumors of a 9.7-inch iPad for $259. So instead of, what is it right now? $299, I think.
The iPad
the
E
base
for
iPad.
education?
Well, the regular iPad right now, the one that you can get, I think it's $299. So yeah, that would make sense. No, it's $349 right now. Sorry. Yeah. So cheaper, of course, like you said, it would be used for education for sure, because that's where they tend to really buy those in bulk, and the cheaper the better. But even like for regular consumer that have no need for a pro machine, that do not need that extra power that the pro machine gives, but still need an iPad, that would be perfect. I would get one of those for sure at this price, $259. I might even get two, just because I used to have two iPads that were recent or similar generation, and that was perfect. We are 5 in my household, so 2 iPads is the way to go. But now we're just down to 1, and even though it's more powerful, it's still not the best. So having 2 would be ideal. And yeah, then there's a 6.1-inch iPhone for $649 to $749. That's from KGI. So it's a mid-range iPhone with Face ID. So it's not clear exactly if it's a what is it, like a not the regular iPhone X2, not the iPhone X2 Plus, but like something in between. So that's weird.
So we talked about last week. Isn't it the same rumor or there's new rumors?
I think it's a new one. No, I think it's an old one, basically. Anyways, we'll see. All right, so moving on to Adventure Corner. So
yeah, it's our new favorite corner.
Yeah, new favorite corner. That's Rumours Corner. Let's do the adventure one. It's better. So there's a whole big adventure here that took place in the last couple of weeks. So I'll let you start.
So a couple of weeks ago, I was in the States, and you know what just came out in the States that we don't have here in Canada? Dun, dun, dun.
HomePod.
The HomePod. So the way it worked is obviously on the first day I got there, I went to see it because I'm a huge nerd. And the whole family followed because it was a family vacation. And they were like, you're such a huge nerd. And we listened to it in the store and everything. And then I said, okay, no, I don't need it. I don't need it. I don't want it. We should buy this.
You even texted me like, should I get one? I'm like, no, don't get one. It's not even like fully spec'd out. Like most of the features that they announced are not even there yet. So you don't even know if it's going to work. You listen to it in the store, but you haven't listened to it in your house. And if you get it, like you cannot return it. So that doesn't make sense. Like, nah, skip it.
But then like 2 days in, I kept saying like, what do we do? Let's just go by the Apple Store again. And then like, I think the last day, my girlfriend just looked at me and she said, just shut up and go get the damn thing. So, so that's what we did. On the last night, we went to go buy a HomePod to bring it back home. Because I said to myself, this is my reasoning, and you can't comment on this. You can't tell me I'm wrong because I can't return it, as you said. So I said,
yeah.
And I think we kind of talked about it. Like, don't buy a product with the hoping of it being better. But that's what I said to myself. I said to like, we don't have it in Canada. I don't know when it's going to come in. Oh, and also the big part. It's actually a little bit cheaper if you buy it in the States because the tax is less and the exchange rate right now is not too bad. And I'm pretty sure they're going to just pad it when they're going to sell it here in Canada. It's probably maybe like a $20 at least, or sometimes like $50 more. So I said, okay, I'm saving money by buying it in the States.
All the reasons are good.
Yeah.
So saving money is fine. Yeah, and also you have to know that you Tyler don't have any speakers right now at home. So it's not like if you were replacing like a Play 1 or Play 3 by something.
I don't have Amazon Echoes. I don't have Google Homes. I don't have nothing. The only music source I have right now is the TV, like Stingray, whatever, hit list TV, going through like these column speakers, I think you call them, and it's a basic LG like DVD system that's not that bad, I think. But that's it. Yeah. So for you, it was basically like a first purchase kind of thing. So it would make sense since you're living in the ecosystem to try the HomePod. So which one did you get? The black one, the white one? I got the white one. And also part of the Adventure Corner is I played with it for a week. And then I managed to meet you downtown last week, so you can play with it for like the weekend before we record this show. So we both have our opinions on the HomePod. And I wanted to know your opinion since you have all these Play Ones and Sonos systems. And I think you had or have a Google Home and all that. Yeah, I had the Google Home for a couple of weeks last summer. So I was able to test that thing for the smarts and for the music. For the music, it wasn't that great. It's a very regular speaker, very flat. There's no oomph in the speaker. So yeah, it's a smart assistant. So the same thing I would think would be with the Amazon Echo products. So their smart speaker first off, and that's what they are. So the HomePod, so you even repackaged it like as it was like brand new. So I was able to film an unboxing of it. So I'll be doing a little video of it soon. So. But so you put too much tape. So when I had to open it, it didn't want to open. So I had to like force it. But still, no problem. I really love. Let's start for the unboxing experience. Very minimalistic. You have just like the AirPod Extreme router. You just take the cap off of the box, like the top part basically, and you have. The speaker is there. Basically, you have its cord already attached, which is removable. Well, no, I would say replaceable. So they don't
like suggest you pull it out, because you can pull it out, but I'm guessing that from the look of the pins I saw on YouTube, if you pull it out too many times, it might not reattach, because the weak part of the system is the cord. So if you take it out, put it back in, and a couple times, it might not hold its place afterwards. So the fabric is nice. One thing that I haven't seen in any videos, like people mention the fabric. So I'm like, okay, it's a fabric speaker. I've seen fabric speakers in the past. All of my Sonos speakers have some kind of fabric on them, but it's not a fabric. It's weirder than that. It's a mesh that is actually 3-dimensionals. So you can look at it and you see that there's like some depth to it. And if you press on it, it's kind of like smooshy, like a sponge. So it's very special. I don't know exactly how they did it. I know that there's a What's Inside video on YouTube that I haven't watched yet, where the thumbnail is basically the guy ripping the fabric apart. So I should probably watch this and to see exactly how it's made. But yeah, it's a fabric. It's a spongy feeling. It's good looking for sure. It's quality material, as I was expecting. It's a lot heavier than I thought and a lot bigger than I thought. I don't know why. People kept saying it was smaller than they were expecting, but I think that after seeing weeks and weeks of videos of people saying it's smaller than they expected, I kind of expected the opposite. I kind of expected that it was, okay, so it's super small now. That's what people are saying, but it's not super small. It's a kind of good size. Like, it's bigger than my Play 1. It's, how can I compare it? It's, I wasn't expecting like a Coke.
I thought it was going to be the size of the Mac Pro trash can. That's what I thought when I saw the original press release. So that's why I think it's smaller. But I understand what you say.
Yeah.
Everybody's been saying it's so small, and then you get it, and you're like, no.
It's so big, it's so big.
Yeah.
Yeah. Especially that I have my Play 1 right next to it. Like, I was expecting the same size, but rounder instead of being like a squircle. So, but it was bigger. Anyways, so I take it out, install it, ready for the whole pairing dance and everything. Did you have any problem when you tried to pair it and use it?
No, not at all. Maybe I tried to unpair it before giving to you. I don't know if that worked well.
Yeah, that worked well. For me, it was like brand new out of the box. Yeah. So I was able to do the pairing stuff, but it took like a good minute and a half. Like, I was there, I plugged it in. You have this little animation on the top screen. I'm guessing it's booting. And when nothing was happening, I took out my phone, unlocked it, like tapped it basically on the device, and waited. It took like a good 45 seconds to react. Then it was like, okay, preparing HomePod or something, like the same screen as the AirPods. It was doing something in the background. So I was waiting another like 30 to 40 seconds. And then I was able to do like the confirmation of, pair it, give it its name. That's the location, it's in the dining room for me, and stuff like that. So I had to do the whole thing, which was fine. And yeah, the whole thing was pretty nice. It was a bit longer than I was expecting, probably because the last device I did that was using Bluetooth for setup was the Eero system. And it was quite fast compared to other systems like the Linksys Envelop that I tested a couple months ago. So I was like, okay, super fast Bluetooth pairing, great. I was expecting like just tap it, hop it pops, and you're done like in 10 seconds. So maybe because...
Just to chime in, you gave me a Hero system, and my onboarding was horrible. I had to like unplug him and reset him like twice. So just to show how it never works. Not it never works, but it doesn't work for everybody all the time, and it's always different.
And also, I'm guessing that all the YouTubers who did that thing with the HomePod, they basically edited their video to remove the waiting period, because it's not fun to watch somebody wait for something. So that's why they basically like tap it and it's there. I'm like, okay, it takes a second, so fine, we'll do it. But yeah, it's not as fast as I was expecting. So perhaps it's because you unpaired it first, and I'm like on the second one on it. Maybe that's something to do with it. Or maybe even though the animation was done, maybe it wasn't done booting. I don't know. But anyways, in the end, it was paired, and that was great. So first thing I did is I said, okay, before like doing the Hey Siri dance, let me go see the Home app, which I never opened because I only had like a security camera with HomeKit compatibility, and never removed it from my phone for some reason. So it shows up as unavailable. But then the HomePod is there, but it's also unavailable. I'm like, geez, why? So all I can try is tap it, but it was never popping up. So I had my first issue with the HomePod, so I tried to force quit the app. I tried to open the app. I tried to go into settings. Basically, I had to reboot my phone to be able to see the HomePod in the Home app. So that was my first negative experience. It's not as bad as others who had to restart their router, so I didn't have to do that. So thank God. But yeah, after that, I was set. I was ready, and I was ready to use the app. So first thing I said, okay, let me put some music. So of course, we already discussed this in the past. So I put the song "One" by Metallica from the Injustice for All album. And the beginning part is great, but then when all the instruments get in, I'm like, it's weird. It's not sounding correct. Like maybe it's not loud enough. So I said, okay, hey Siri, put it to 80%.
Stop saying that.
Fine. Why?
Stop saying the trigger word.
Nobody listens to podcasts on speakers.
Right.
So yeah, basically, I was thinking maybe it's a volume problem, maybe it's something else. No, the sound was different. I wasn't sure really what it was. Okay, so I was like, okay, let's try something with more bass, so I can be sure that there's the good subwoofer in there. So I'm going to try it. One song that I use for that is "People of the Sun" by Rage Against the Machine.
People come up. Yeah. We gotta turn the bass up on this one. Check it. Since 1516, minds attacked and overseen.
All the way back to my teen years, whenever I go to a friend's house or whatever, and they have like a new sound system or whatever, the first thing I do is put the CD on or the song on, and just because the kick drum in that is super strong, and it's like clear, and it's almost, well, it's the only instrument in the beginning of the song, so you can really feel that doom every time there's like a kick drum hit. But it wasn't there. I'm like, geez, how come? And then I okay, so that's it for now. Let's the family play with it. They put some songs, and some songs were amazing. Like, wow, this song really sounds great. And then I said, okay, let me try something that I know, a song that I heard a million times. So I put on some Dream Theater with the Images and Words album, which I've listened to tons of times. It's a progressive rock group, and they have a very very rich sound. They have many instruments, they have keyboards, they have drums, they have an amazing bass player, and the vocals are amazing. There I saw and I understand what the problem was. This whole like HomePod trying to re-edit the sound and make it like better or whatever. It was all fucking the music that I'm used to. So basically it tries to do smart things and put, let's say, the music like in the background and the voice in the foreground, but it was not doing a good job at it at all. And even my daughter, who is 15 years old, she's listening to music now more and more, And she had the same conclusion after a couple of songs. Like, it's weird. It's like if the voice is behind the music, whereas in the songs we were listening to, the voice should be in the forefront, and especially in those part of the song, it should be like really in the forefront, but it was like muffled in the background. So I understand that the HomePod does stuff with the music, try to optimize it, but I really, really don't like it. First reason, it doesn't do a good job on, I would say, 50% of the song that I listen to. It does a great job in maybe 10 to 15% of the song, and it does an awful job in maybe 25% of the song. So it's I know it doesn't add up to 100, but you get the point. So yeah, so that's the thing that I hated the most was not being able to know what's coming up in terms of sound reproduction. I have so many songs that I've listened to so many times. I know exactly each and every instrument, each and every part, and I've listened to them on system going from $2 headphones all the way to $10,000 speakers, and I know exactly how they should sound, and it's not reproduced properly. It's like somebody who's playing with the EQs in a way that totally messes up the song. So let's say in the good old days, if you had your iPhone or iPod and you would put a song like a rock song, and then you would choose like the classical EQ or the spoken voice EQ, which would sound like tinny and crappy. But that's kind of like what it happens for some of the songs, where to my ears, they should really like be bass heavy, and especially that Rage Against the Machine song, it starts with just a kick drum and one of the toms. So there's only one instrument. There's not even a voice yet. So I don't understand. So yeah, that's my rant about the sound reproduction. Compared to my Sonos Play 1, the sound seems clearer on the HomePod, but only when it does a good job of rendering the song. Whereas my Play 1 is consistent across every type of song. It's also a little bit more bass heavy because that's how I set it up. So if I remove some of the bass, put it more towards a neutral EQ, the sound gets very similar. But yeah, it's always a matter of how does the HomePod will react to that song. I realize that for mostly pop songs, it seems to make a better job. So I don't know if there's like I don't know if it was calibrated with a set of pop songs as whatever they were feeding the algorithm. Whereas if you do more like rock, old 70s rock, progressive rock, metal, it doesn't really does a fine job of balancing like the instruments and the voice and the bass. So yeah, it's up for debate, I would say, in terms of sound quality.
I have none of those complaints. I don't care. I find it sounds good. But we have this problem also. We've been playing around with different mics and different recordings on my end, and you've noticed like huge improvements and changes, and I hear nothing. And I think you must have like bionic ears or something, because we've tried it with a couple of our friends and family, and you're the only one. Like I even asked Angela from Double Density, and he gets nothing of a difference compared to what you get. And same thing for I've tried with my girlfriend and another friend, and they like in blind tests if you want, and they can't notice any difference. And you're like, it's huge, man. Why can't you hear this difference? Come on.
Yeah. No, I see what you get. Like, I don't think I have a perfect ear, so I'm not like, I am a musician, so I've played guitars for many years and other instruments and everything, and always had like a knack for music, but I don't consider myself as an audiophile. So I know when I am in front of a system that sounds good. I know when a system tries to like overdo it. Like, for example, all the Beats product, I don't like them because they're way too bass heavy. And kind of like what the HomePod does when it tries to like dictate how this song should sound. I don't like the way that the EQ is set up for the Bose, not the Bose, but the Beats product. They try to like provide you a specific sound signature that might be fine for maybe R&B, rap, and stuff like that. But whenever you try like to do like rock or classical rock and stuff like that, or even progressive rock, it really messes up the sound. So I think that kind of, I want to say dictatorship, but the kind of willingness of saying that's how the sound should sound for this specific song, it gets on my nerve. I'm probably prefer to have a speaker that is
Neutral.
not smart, neutral, yeah. And then if I prefer a bit more bass or a bit more treble, I could just tweak those things or just change it slightly to the EQ just to maybe fit this album that I'm listening to right now and for the next 40 to 50 minutes. So that's how I would approach this more. So, yeah. So
I get the point that it's those songs because you've listened to them for like 15 years and all that, and they don't sound like you want them to sound. I get that. I just don't have that. I've even listened. I've listened to the same music since like high school, and to me, it just sounds okay on the HomePod. It sounds even great in the volume level, or just like the coverage it gets in my house is really, really good, and I was really surprised, and I'm happy with it. And that's it. I don't have any audio complaints or comments other than that. It sounds good and loud.
it's perfect. You're blessed. That's all I can say. The situation I am in, that I can like detect those difference in sound, on echo and reverb and everything, is not something that's fun, because I would love to have like a pair of like $10 earbuds and a smart speaker that costs like $50 and that I can play music and I would be perfectly fine. But I don't know, it gets on my nerves. Like, I know that something like that can do such a better job that I'm focusing on that too much. And the difference with the HomePod is that it has other qualities. So it's great as a consumer product. Like for any Lambda type of user who wants a smart speaker with good sound reproduction, it's a great product. Like, it has its strong suit is music. If you don't focus too much on the way that the sound is being not distorted, but the opinion basically of the HomePod on how everything should sound. So if that's your case, then fine, it's a great product for you. For me, I already have my Play One. If I had nothing, it could be different. I could see myself with that speaker. But since I already have my Play One on the first floor and a Play Bar in the basement, I don't need this type of speaker. And if I was looking for something that is very good in terms of audio and then has some smarts, I think the Play One might be a better suited product for me, just because I know the sound will be like leveled and I can customize the sound to the way I like. If the HomePod eventually gets a maybe like a couple of presets that you can use to guide this smart music rendering algorithm, maybe the discussion can be changed. But for now, until I have more control in the music, it's not for me. And now we're moving on to the smart features. How did you find the Siri responsiveness? Is she good to understand you? Is the commands you give it like fulfilled at the way that you were expecting them to?
I haven't really gone crazy on queries like questions about movie actors and whatever. I've basically just used timers like I used to use on my watch to have a timer for something in the oven, and giving it commands to play music, stop music, turn up the volume, and that's pretty much it. I haven't played with it a lot. You probably play with it more than I did.
Yeah, well, the first thing I tried was mostly playlist, because I'm like, okay, let me try to find something that is built in, that I'm not trying to stretch Siri's intelligence to get into something very cumbersome for her. So I just asked simply like, okay, hey Siri, okay, we should really try to find some, hey Dingus, let's say. So hey Dingus, play the, let's say, romantic playlist. And I had a site where they listed every HomePod defined playlists for that, and I tried maybe 7 or 8 of those, not all the same day, so over a couple of days, and only got success twice. So, and the other ones, they were failing, so I would retry the same exact query, not trying to speak clearer, not trying to speak louder, not turning my head to be facing the speaker, because I wasn't facing the speaker at this moment, and it eventually get it. So it's hard for me to understand why the first couple times it didn't work, and it tried to play some random album of some random guy that did have the keyword like romantic or pop or whatever in the album playlist, whatever album name, sorry, but I don't know, it didn't get it. So that was a pain. For triggering any non-English title, that is the worst. I know it's not just a HomePod problem, it's probably the same with everyone. Just for fun, I tried, my dad made an album a couple of years ago with his band, and I have it in my library on my phone, so I can call it and try to say, play the album by Jean-Pierre Lagacé. But then I said, okay, it won't work. So I'm going to say that Jean-Pierre Legacy, trying to put like an English accent on my father's name. And basically it never worked. I was expecting that. But I said, okay, let me try something. Let me play, Moon Dance was one of the songs that he played. So play Moon Dance from my library. And that, I was surprised it worked.
Marvelous night for a moon dance, with the stars up above in your eyes. What a fabulous night to make romance beneath the cover of October skies. You know the leaves on the trees are falling to the sound of the breezes that blow. You know I'm trying to please to the calling of your heartstring that plays soft and low. You know the magic seems to whisper and hush. You know the soft moonlight seems to shine in your blush. Can I just have one more moon dance with you?
Oftentimes I would know that, let's say the song name or the artist name, not everything. And I could ask, play me, okay, so what is the song of this artist? Okay, play me the best song by Bryan Adams. And it would start a playlist with a couple of songs in there. And if I would say 9 times out of 10, the first one was the one I was expecting for. Even this morning, I said, okay, let me try something. I don't know if you remember a couple of years back, I think it was in 2005.
No.
There was this Romanian band.
No.
Yeah, you probably heard it, like Numa, yeah. That
Oh,
thing,
yeah,
no?
yeah,
Doesn't
yeah.
tell you? Yeah, okay. So that song, it's called Dragoste Dinte. I totally butchered that Romanian words, but I tried to call that, it didn't work. I tried again with like an accent that is more like English leaning, and also added the artist name, didn't work. So I said, okay, if that, let's just start with play me the best song by Ozone, and it got it right away. So it was the first one. So there's something to tell about the HomePod trying to have a context awareness of what you're asking it if you're not super perfect. So that's what this thing does great. You give it some information, but not everything related to music. And I would say that 7, if not 8 times out of 10, you will get your thing. So that worked great. I tried to also sing, just like, let's say, Smoke on the Water by Deep Purple. The da, da, da,
Yeah, I know that
da,
one.
da, da, da. That might be a problem. And also, if, for example, I set my phone in French and the HomePod is in English, it's going to be the same problem again. But still, that was the thing that I found very peculiar, that it really did try to go through my phone to get some information and wasn't able to because the language was different, or the query words were not being understood because it's not the same language. So moving on to the smart apps, I did add stuff to my inbox a couple of times and it worked very well. I was surprised the way that it was doing it. I didn't go like all the way in trying to add this item to this specific list on my things or whatever. Like I just added like add a reminder to take out the trash in things, and it worked. And it just replied, "Okay, I added the take out the trash reminder to your inbox in things." So, okay, fine. That works perfect. And it really works very well. So I was surprised for that. I wasn't expecting it to understand minimal queries like that. And it did perfectly. So pretty happy for that. Did you try any of the smarts for apps and stuff like that?
No, but I've had like really crazy reception, like strength, if you want. The thing in the being facing it, not facing the HomePod, being the head like in the stove with the stove fan on, and I can change the song, stop the song without a problem. I can set timers. The only problem I've noticed, and we talked about this when we met this week, is say I have the stove fan going like full blast. I can talk to it, but I don't hear its reply since it's so loud in my environment. So if there'd be a way for it to like detect like, okay, this guy just spoke to me, but he looks like he's like in a storm or something, so we might want to pipe this volume of the Siri response a lot louder than we normally would. And same thing goes for like when I've just listened to the volume like at 80% because I was listening to a song, and then I stop it, and 2 hours later I ask it to just set a timer. It's gonna yell to me like, the timer has been set, and wake up the whole house. So that's like another, can we have like a default, don't be like, gauge how far I am and how loud the environment you're in right now is and respond accordingly, please?
Yeah, especially if you're close. Like mine is on my...
Buffet. No.
Buffet, yeah. No.
It's right next to your dining table.
Yeah, so right next to my dining table, and I'm like basically like 2 feet from it. And I just turn around and say, "Hey Siri, pause." And then she pauses. Okay, fine. "Hey Siri, play this song." And okay, I'm playing this song for you. Like, come on, I'm just right here. Like I'm not even shouting. I'm just like almost whispering to you. Don't need to like shout at 80% because there was nothing playing and I was right here. So yeah, there needs to be some adjustment there.
The only smarts I've tried is start stop timers and play this song. Also play the latest episode of Subnet Podcasts to get the...
Yeah, did that too.
I get it. I used to do it. I do it every morning when I was packing my lunch just to get like the daily news, and it would... I could hear it from everywhere just passing my lunch and then getting dressed and all that. So that was pretty cool. So I was looking to... I think it's Federico who set up like a playlist in Apple Podcasts, which I don't use, but just set up a playlist of like daily content and daily news. So you have like this 10-15 minutes clip of news when you're getting dressed in the morning or just getting ready in the morning. So that'd be cool to set up.
Yeah, but I didn't have any much success with trying to get Subnet to work. It would start albums of random artists. I tried it 4 times. 2 out of the 4 times was getting some random content. And I tried like play the Subnet podcast, and then it wouldn't work. So I said, play the podcast name Subnet from the podcast app. That one worked. And then the next time I tried, I said, play the podcast named Subnet. And that also worked. But like, I tried a couple different variables before, and I got like weird albums that don't even have like subnet into the name or nothing like that. So it was weird. But once it works, it's pretty great.
Also, what I would be curious to do is, like you said, your dad's name doesn't really work when you try to say it. Well, just start start it from your phone and then ask her what's playing right now. What's the artist of this song, just for fun, to see how she pronounces.
Yeah, well, I was able to get it because when I asked Moondance from my library, that song from my dad is the only one called Moondance. So she just replied like, okay, I'm playing Moondance from Jean-Pierre Legacy.
Okay.
I can't stay. It was weird, but it works. I'm looking forward to Siri trying to be smarter and understand that something is in French or English or Italian or Spanish or whatever.
One step at a time, baby steps.
Yeah, I know, but they can do it like with a keyboard. If you try to type words in French or English, it understands and properly corrects it if need be. So I'm hoping that one day we'll get that. Not that I need super extensive support, but just basic pronunciation of words and names that could be quite easily like find. If you pass any title name of a song or an artist into Google Translate, you can guess the language quite easily. So I don't think that's far-fetched. That should be achievable. Yeah, in terms of sound, one thing we forgot to mention is that even if you put it to 100% and you pass by this little warning that says it's too loud, the sound quality is great. It doesn't distort, it doesn't crash, it doesn't crackle. Everything is really well balanced, I would say. So listening it to the song between 60 to 80%, that's usually what I do. 80% is, I would say, good range for a normal house, like for a same floor. If you're going another floor, that's something different. And 100% is too loud, I would say. I thought it was going to be louder than that. It's not as loud as I was expecting it, but for what its use is, it's perfect. 80 to 90% at most. Most of the situation would be perfect. I don't see myself using it 100% for any period, except for a couple of seconds, just to see how it sounds. And if you're like dining, 50% seems to be a good number, especially that we're close to it while we are eating. So that's perfect. And also, I would suggest to enable sound check, which is not enabled by default, which will level the songs so that you don't get like a super loud song and then a super quiet song. It's gonna kind of do like a normalizing on the sound, so it's always the same. So that's perfect.
Do you find it room filling or whatever they call it?
Not particular. One thing I liked is when I moved myself from different
positions,
places in my position. The sound was the same everywhere. So that was great. So it was filling the room, like wherever I was, the sound was aimed at me. So that was great. But I don't feel that the sound it produced, okay, let me rephrase that. When it was able to reproduce a song aptly, like perfectly, and the sound was great, it was great everywhere. So that was perfect. But most of the time, as I explained, it was not balancing the vocals and the instruments properly. And it wasn't sounding, I wasn't feeling this room presence that you get when it's properly handled. So for me, I would love to be able to control that, but right now it's not good enough to be room filling every time, every song.
And did you try playing around with the location of the speaker?
I moved it around just so that it triggers the accelerometer, and you do hear a difference in the sound. Like it kind of like goes back to flat EQ, and then over the couple seconds following that, you can hear the sound changing, like the bass and the trebles and everything. So you can see that it adapts itself. I only put it like at two different places in my house, so like the main floor, two different extremities, if you want, and the sound was the same everywhere. So that's a good thing. The Sonos, you need to configure it. You need to manually paint your wall with your phone with the microphone, and while the speaker makes a little weird noise to kind of like hear the reverb in the house and everything. So it takes a good 2 minutes to set up, so it's not fun when you move it around. So that's a good plus for the HomePod. It adjusts itself automatically, so that's great. But I don't think that it's bad at any other places or placement. It's as great everywhere, so that's a good thing. One thing that I didn't like is if you have a song playing, it's easy to know that she understands you because the music will go down. But if nothing's playing, you have to wait until she says to really like ask your thing, because you don't see it from afar. That little ring on top, you don't see it. So it's that I would prefer the ring like we have on the Amazon Echo. That's something you can see from afar and not have to wait like 5 seconds for that to just ask your query. So because a couple of times I asked something and I just did the trigger word and then asked my query right away, and nothing happened. I'm like, oh, she didn't understand me, so I have to try again. And then I had the and then I was able to ask my thing. So it's not the top placement is not the best idea there.
Yeah, I never wait for even with the watch, with the phone, I just trigger word and then just rattle on. I know a lot of people just, they trigger word and then they wait for the response like, I'm ready for your query or whatever. I just trigger word and then rattle off the thing. I think it makes it a lot easier. Even though it doesn't respond, it, like on my watch, oftentimes it gives me like the 3 dots and then it just writes the whole text I just said, even if it's like 2-3 seconds later. I don't know why people wait. It may be because it's not clear and in the ads they wait maybe, but just say the trigger word and rattle whatever you want and it works usually.
Yeah, that's the problem is when I do that with my watch, most of the time I get the I'm not ready yet. I'm going to ping you when I am or something like that. So
yeah, you can
like
still say whatever you want, and then she's going to ping you when she has the message you just told her to send ready.
Yeah, but it's because the animation is about the whole Siri thing is not visually clear that she's waiting for you or you just triggered something. Like there should be like a difference between being triggered and being ready. And people are kind of like waiting for something to change because you see little waves pop up and you're like, okay, they're going to stop or they're going to change to a circle or something, but they don't. And people are kind of like waiting for something, some feedback that it was activated. And I think it's because it's not always working that people are always waiting. Whereas if it was always working, you would just, like you said, just babble around whatever you need to say.
Because I feel it's a huge problem, especially when people are trying to like start songs on the HomePod. They're like waiting. They say, hey, dingus, and then they wait for it to say, No, just say, hey, dingus, and say, play this song, and it's going to work. It's like this huge pause and like, stop, no, don't play. I just say, hey, dingus, and play this song.
Yeah. Well, after using it for a couple of days, you kind of just wait for the visual feedback of that little wave there. As soon as I see some color pop up on the top, I know that I can speak, and it heard me for the trigger word. Otherwise, I know that I haven't spoken the trigger word properly or loud enough, so I just do it again, and that's fine. So it's less of a problem when you try to use the HomePod than the watch, because I don't think a single time I asked something and there was a problem or a misunderstanding or whatever. The only problems I had, like I said, was that my language wasn't the same on my phone, so I had to do some config change. But otherwise, once the trigger word is understood, the rest is at least understood as it is. Probably not processed properly, but she understood something from what I said.
I'd like it to be like to have, I know people have been suggesting this, but having the trigger word per device, like, hey, Apple Watch, hey, iPhone, hey, HomePod, because I feel it's not stupid, but it's kind of annoying to say, hey, and then saying Siri every time you want to have this command to change the volume or whatever. If I could just say, HomePod, turn the volume to 80% instead of saying the whole little dance thing.
Yeah, I agree that I don't like the trigger word. That hey something, well, just like okay Google, like why those 2 steps? I think Amazon got it right with just Alexa. It's perfect. It's a single word. That's how you would talk to like
a human,
your friend, your child, human. Yeah. So
I don't say hey Alex every time I want to talk to you. I just say Alex.
No, that would be weird. Like people just saying hey every time. So yeah, I would love to change that trigger word, especially because like Siri doesn't work for everyone. Like, I would love to just call it computer because it's a word I don't say really often. So computer, do something. Or just like call it, like, I don't know, like Alfred, like the Batman's butler. So I would love to just name it something else and give it like a maybe a British accent, and that would be perfect.
You can change the accent and the name, not the name, the voice, no? The gender, sorry.
Yeah, the gender. But it's linked to the language of the HomePod.
Okay.
So right now it's only US. No, you have girl or boy, but on your phone you can change to British English or Australian English, and that's where you have more choices for the language and the voice. But I would love to change the trigger word. I know for Amazon you can. So there's a lot of Star Trek geeks who actually renamed Alexa to computer. So they just say, computer, do something, just like in Star Trek. And that, for me, that's perfect, because you don't need to, hey, something every time, or okay, something, do something. You know, it's an extra step that is kind of breaking the
flow,
the relationship,
natural
the flow
of
between of a discussion. You want this assistant to be smart enough to understand you and to have this dialogue with you, and just having hey always, not the best.
I think that's it for the HomePod review.
All right. I think that's it for the episode 2. That's it for episode 82. You can find the show notes at rgba.fm/82. You can find us on Twitter at _RGBAfm. You can find us personally on Twitter. I'm Vallier, VALLIERES.
I'm Tyler Menard, TYLERMENARD.
Have a nice week.
Have a nice week.